Hey guys, for this video, I'm going to be building a AI agent that scrapes the website data for you and then summarizes it automatically by building a LLM chain that does it for you. So this this project was sort of built in ETHCon hackathon that happened about 2 weeks ago in Korea. My idea was influenced by a company called Fiscal Note, which uses artificial intelligence to inform legislators or businesses of a piece of legislation's financial impact that it can have on your business. Or, as some of you may know, if you're in the blockchain space, there are tons and tons of governance proposals that come up every single day. And if you're a developer or a founder that builds on a specific blockchain protocol, you need to know what's going around in that scene. You need to know how this governance proposal might impact your business, how it can impact your token. Like, it can even have impact on the tokens that you have. So you really need to keep track of all of these governance proposals. And some people even have personal assistants to keep track of them, list them, organize them, and summarize them for the CEO. So I found that there could be a potential problem that I could solve in this area. So what I built was a chain summarizer that summarizes these governance proposals that come up every single day. So what we're going to do in this video is first scrape the website data that you want to summarize. Second, load this data onto a vector space like Vice CPU. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. And then third, we're going to build a LLM chain that summarizes the data that we've uploaded onto the vector space. So before going into the code itself, I've popped up open on the right side of my window a VS Code. You can use any kind of favorite ID, what you want, and I'm using a MacBook right now, so the settings might be different if you're using Windows. So I've created a new folder on the VS Code called Chain Summarizer. And in order to run any sort of Python code, you have to have a virtual environment to run that code. So we're going to first build the virtual environment by using python 3.m venv, and you can see on the left that a virtual environment was created. You're going to activate that virtual env by doing activate, and you can see that it's been activated. And inside this environment, you want to install the necessary packages that you need to build this agent. So I'm going to use pip3 install OpenAI, LangChain, BS4, ChromaDB, python.env, tick token, and Streamlit. All right. Oh, there was a typo. Okay, let's get this straight. All right, so now that it's being installed, the reason why we're using Streamlit is a UI UX package that is used for Python. If you're a developer, you may have went through a lot of grueling processes to connect your Python code with React to create a front-end website. But here, Streamlit, you can literally use that package inside your code and just instantly generate a UI website for that. And I'll show you in an instant. But yeah, so right now the packages are installed. And I've also created this file called summarizer.py where my Python code will go into. Okay, so before anything, you're going to have to use OpenAI's API key. So I'm not going to reveal my API key for security purposes, but inside your .env file, you want to specify OpenAI-API-key, and then save your API key inside that variable. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, in order to get your API key, you have to go to OpenAI's website, create an account, and then you can generate a new API key to use that when you're building something that needs to call OpenAI's API. So here then we're going to import all the necessary libraries that we need, the libraries and modules that we need to build this project. And the reason why I have this documentation opened up is because we're going to do a step-by-step following of building a LLM chain and a project that really uses LangChain and API keys to scrape data, upload that data onto a vector space, and build a LLM chain. We have everything on this website, so I'll just show you how it actually looks like on the coding aspects on the right-hand side of this window. All right, so we've imported all the libraries that we need, and the next thing that we're going to do is use Streamlit as ST, which is an abbreviation that means that we're going to use Streamlit every time that we type in ST. So st.title is going to be summarizer. And this is going to be the title and the heading, the main heading of the UI website based on this code. And what we want the website to look like is an input text box where the user can input a URL link that they want to summarize. So in order to do that, we will have to first create an input text box and also retrieve the user inputs data. So we're going to create a function called def get text. And create a variable called input text, and we're going to create an input text box which is called text input based on the Streamlit's documentation. And we can say type in the URL link below with the key as input. All right. And then you're going to return input text whenever you call this get text function. Then we're going to save the URL link, the user inputs, whenever we call this function. We're going to save this and actually try running this code because we want to see how it looks like on the front end. So in order to run a Streamlit code, you're going to do Streamlit run summarizer.py. And in a couple of seconds, a new window is going to pop up on Chrome, and we'll see how this looks like. All right, so it has popped up. And you can see that the summarizer is the title, and you can see also a text box with type the URL link below. So we've successfully created a Streamlit UI website based on our Python code. Next, we'll build the actual function where we load the, we scrape the website data and load it onto a vector space. So in order to do this, we're gonna go through the documentation of LangChain's website. And we've already installed all of these packages, so no need to worry about that. We've also imported all these modules that we need to use. Now, we're going to first begin with a if statement because we want to make sure that there is actually a user input. So if user input we're going to load the data. Now, yeah, we're going to be using the same code. So we're using web-based loader, and instead of the URL link here, we're going to use user input because that's the user's input URL link. And then we're going to load that data into a variable called data. Yes. So it's this one. It's loading the data that we've retrieved from the web-based loader. And then we're going to split all of this data into chunks. So let's just copy and paste this code here and then paste it onto here. Now, some of the people have been asking me, like, what's the standard for, what's the appropriate chunk size for the data? I've searched it and found that as long as the chunk size is less than the total maximal tokens of the GPT version that you're using, then it's fine. So for example, if you're using GPT 3.5, I believe the total token size is around 4096. So as long as the chunk size is below 4096, it's fine. Most of the people use a chunk size of 2000 and leave the rest of the 2000 for like saving chat message history or generating texts. But right now we're using 500. And so we've split the data, and then we are saving the split data into all splits. Next, we're going to store this data onto a vector space, a vector store. That's why we've downloaded ChromaDB, because we're going to upload it onto that database. So we're going to copy and paste this code as well and write that. Is you can retrieve the relevant splits for any kind of question or task you want the thing to do by using a similarity search. So for us, the question is going to be summarize the main points of this article. And we're going to perform a similarity search based on this question. All right. Now we actually want to build a LLM chain that summarizes this. So we're going to make a custom prompt template, as you can see here. If you go a little bit lower, you can see that there's a go deeper section and you can customize your own prompt by using a retrieval QA LangChain. So the reason why we use retrieval QA is it's simply just a one specific type of LLM chain structure that allows you to ask questions about the data, and the chatbot or the LLM outputs the answer based on the prompt that you have. So we've already imported the libraries here, and we're going to copy and paste this code here. So the template is use the following pieces of context to answer the question that we've specified here. Right now we can sort of edit this, but again, you can always make sure that the LLM doesn't output any hallucinations. I mean, it always will, but you can always like specify more that you don't want the LLM to like output any results if you don't know anything about the specific task you have to do. So you can always like specify that within the prompt template. So that's what we're doing here. If you like, for example, like if you don't know the answer, just say that you don't know. Don't try to make up an answer, which will be a hallucination. All right, so I'm just gonna get rid of all the unnecessary stuff. And then what we've done here is created a QA chain prompt where we've saved the template inside this variable so that it uses this specific prompt template and does this specific task that we've specified it to do. And then we've built a LLM chain using Chat OpenAI. I found Chat OpenAI to be less expensive than just using OpenAI. Like the API key, like the calls of using the API key is like less expensive when you use Chat OpenAI. This may be total BS, but I always use Chat OpenAI. And then you've built a QA chain, which again uses the structure of retrieval QA, uses this LLM, and uses this QA chain prompt where we've given the template prompt as such. So it's basically like you've built an LLM chain that answers any questions or performs any kind of task that you want it to do. And this is all based on the data that you've stored onto the vector store. So it's like you first, the user has given a user input, which is the website data that you want to summarize. You've scraped all that data, stored it onto a vector store, and then based on the database that is stored on that vector store, you're going to make an LLM chain that goes through all that data and answers any questions that you ask on behalf of that database. So if you wanted to summarize the main points of this database, it's going to go through the vector store, go through all the data, and summarize the main points for you. That's how the AI agent works. So we've done this, and we actually want to use this function on our website that we created here, right? So what we're gonna do is, again, just make sure that there's a user input and result is QA chain with it's going to perform the task based on the question and then return the result. Okay. So let's see if this works now. We're going to reload the site. And then I'm just going to bring any kind of URL example, type it in here, press enter, and it's running. So hopefully within a few seconds, it's going to summarize the main points of this article. And boom, there is an error. Let's see why this is happening. Okay. So LangChain requires context. That's why there's been an error, right? So we do this. Reload. Copy and paste. Paste. Enter. And let's see if it works now. Wow, okay. So it said, I don't know the answer. Because it's not generating any hallucination results that it doesn't want to. Let's try to erase this prompt. So sometimes the results come out as, sorry, there is no given context. But usually most of the times, if you input the URL link, it will give a result of the brief summarization of that website article. So you can see that the article discusses the documentations of community members in a forum post, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted it to be within 3 sentences, and this is why that they're being very concise. So it's all very up to how you design your template prompt. So for example, if you say use 3 sentences max, keep the answer as concise as possible, then it will return a result within the set template that you've created. So basically, this was a very short version of how to first scrape the website data, Second, load it onto a vector store. And third, build a LLM chain that does the summarization for you. So it's a very simple, very simple build side project of an AI agent. Again, all the documentation is on the LangChain website. So if you want further details, please check the documentation. And this just shows like how easy it is and how simple it is to create an AI agent, because all the information is out there on the internet. You can solve any kind of issues. So yeah, that was my first introduction to how to build a question answering or summarization AI agent. If you have any other questions or have run into issues by using this code, please let me know. I will try to share the GitHub repo that contains this code as well. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time soon.